Welcome back. This is still your election command center, and we're bringing you up to speed on happenings on the ground. Our correspondents are dotted all across the constituencies, and they are bringing us all the details that we need. As we know, of course, elections and voting has started in some of these constituencies. Let's cross over now to the Western region, precisely the Esikado Ketan constituency, and we have Eric Yaweje on standby to give us all the details. Later, we'll also come back to the Greater Accra region and get some updates as well. But let's start off with you, Eric. What can you tell us from the polling station you are at the moment?
Thank you very much, Bella. So I am currently at the STMA Junior High School and Primary polling stations here in the Esikado Ketan constituency. Bella, I got here few minutes to 5 a.m. And when I got to the polling station, I counted about 10 people who had already gathered here and getting ready to participate in today's voting. For this particular place that I am, it used to be 3 separate polling stations. Then one was moved to a new location, the Ayinfie polling station at Ayinkofi. But because of the COVID situation, there's been a new creation. Now we have 3 separate polling stations. We have the STMA polling station A, STMA Junior High School polling station B. Then we also have the STMA polling station C, that is for the primary. The first 2 polling stations that you see in your shot are for the junior high school. So when I got here, like I stated, some persons had already gathered here and were ready for the exercise. Just about 5:15, 5:20, I saw a pickup pulling over, and it brought some electoral officers, and at 5:30 they started arranging the place. So from where I am currently, the first voter cast the ballot at 7:01. Some of the long queues that formed earlier are currently dying down. For instance, this particular polling station that I am, you see that currently there is no voter in going through the process. That is the STMA Junior High School, Ahinkofi. But you can see from the ballot box that quite a sizable number of voters have already cast their ballots. The safety protocols here are quite commendable. Before you are made to go through the process, you have to wash, sanitize, and the gentleman at the top there will check your temperature before you are allowed to the first desk where Milady is. All the electoral officers are in their nose masks, and I'm told that before you are allowed entry, you must necessarily be in a nose mask before you start the first process. So as you can see in your shot, some persons sanitizing and getting ready to go and cast their vote. So the situation here at the STMA polling stations is quite commendable. There's not been any incident so far. I've seen 2 police officials on standby to ensure that there's calm here.
All right.
The polling center is close to the Anteman Senior High School.
Okay.
And you can see that some of the students, I want to believe first-time students, voters are getting ready to cast
their ballot.
So,
all right. Eric, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Let me just quickly cross over to the Ayawaso East constituency, where Emmanuel Samani is also on standby to give us some updates. Emmanuel, tell us what you see on the ground.
Hi, Bella. Good morning to you. I'm currently at the Accra Information Center, which is the National Audiovisual Center, where voting started at about 7 a.m. this morning. As you can see, let me just turn my camera. We have some expected 48,010 people people to expected to cast their ballot.
Okay.
Yeah, so with regards to the COVID-19 safety protocols, we have an official on standby who ensures that you wash your hands and he takes your temperature before you are allowed in. And I got here around 5 a.m. and not so many people, but as time is going by, we can see that the numbers are picking up gradually. So we're expecting some 1,710 people expected to cast their ballot here, and it's been divided into 3 categories. We have the polling station A and B and C as well, where with polling station 1, we have some 579 people expected to cast their ballots, and 570 for polling station 2, as well as 561 for polling station 3. So far, so good. It's been smooth sailing. As you can see, it's quite smooth. It's a smooth process. People are voting, and right after you are done voting, you are also giving a sanitizer to sanitize before you exit the premises. So this is the current situation here. And I must say that Ayawaso East constituency is ranked number 7 in the Greater Accra region in terms of the hotspots, with some 17 hotspots or flashpoints in the area. But so far, so good. We haven't had any issues, any grievances here and there. It's been a smooth process, and everyone is actually going through the process. And I have with me the presiding officer for the area who is actually checking that people are sanitizing right after they're done. So it's quite strict. The physical distancing is quite okay. Every individual in this premises has a nose mask, and you're not allowed in if you don't have a nose mask. So far, so good here at the information center, where voting is currently in progress. Over to you.
I see. Thank you so much. Emmanuel Samani is our correspondent, and he's been coming to us from the Ayawaso East constituency, updating us on, of course, the COVID protocol, security, and details involving voting as well. So now let's go back to Martin, and he has some information for us.
Absolutely. A number of these reports are coming in from the country. So if you stay with us, your Election Command Center will be bringing you the very latest regarding what's happening in all 275 constituencies, I should say. Before that, though, let's go to Kolebu. We are told that some development is currently underway over there. Our reporters have an eye on that, and they've sent us this video.
Line is from 1 o'clock. Line. You make it on my just say, line is about to follow that line. It's a loose one. No, you ID card, you are trying to get over to about it. To do up. But go for people to see how some from 2 lines. No one from the person. Any other bed you want to see. The person who wants to say, sunlight or a crosswalk. I don't have to say. A police for no because Siano, one more yakwa, we ask one. We are penny no boo, we are no boo, simple. The moment the line is
some police stations, AS6 or high to who in particular, who in baby potting or Paco Boti or dear. Line no, and then now they call the 6 police stations and I say, who do want an hour baby potting?
Oh, my, just say, who do what?
And to be line is how we do one near trail says sign for her.
And we also do know that these are expected, where people will go to the polls and have some of these reported cases of either the machines not available at the moment, or some of the reports we are being told regarding the fact that voting inks are not available at some of the stations where people have already queued up to vote. This is one such incident, and we'll be interrogating this further when we also do get the Electoral Commission officials to find out what is happening. But generally, we're told that polls have started. We are actually about an hour into polls. Voting is currently ongoing around the country. Let's look at this particular issue, then we'll subject it to some analysis when we get through to the Electoral Commission.
We're supposed to use the blue ink for the They're supposed to use the blue ink, but there's a little problem over here. So so far it's only 7 people that have voted. 7. So we want your indulgence. The voting will continue. Then later, when we are counting, we'll add those ones as valid.
What is the problem? You said there's a little problem. What's the problem?
Yes, I think conveying the ink to this place, I think there's a little mess up. There's a little mess up. So we are sorry for any inconvenience.
As a party agent, please, may I advise that both the EC and the agents, they sign an agreement on this, because at the end of the day, anything can happen, and during those times there will be pressures of everywhere. So what we want to do is that just bring a piece of paper, we draft it, and both parties.
That's no problem.
We know that these are inclusive of whatever happens.
That's no problem.
Okay, so that is why we are addressing them that instead of us to use the violet ink, we rather use the orange ink. So there's no cause for alarm. All the agents are here. So after the counting, we just address this issue. We tell them that even though it's not a mistake, so we count them as valid votes.
So it means that those who came to vote use the orange ink in voting instead of the prescribed violet.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
My concern is the one they are using for the blue one, the violet one, is very watery, and it can stain to the other part of the paper.
But the way it has been folded, it will stain.
It can happen that it will stain.
That is why it will not. That is why there's a tissue there. So the moment you finish, you need to wipe.
All right, so that's a very peculiar problem because we do know that the voting ink has almost always been dark or dark shade of gray. That's what we are used to. So a pink or an orange color coming up being used to vote is actually pretty interesting. So that is why we say that we'll try and find out from the EC what has happened in that particular area. It is in the English Yaman constituency, and that was a report by Grace Hamwa Asari. We have more of that coming up when we touch base with all our correspondents as well. So where are you voting? What is influencing your decision, like we have always been asking? Do get interactive with us on our various social media platforms. We're going straight to Bella again. We are told that you have one of our reporters. Where is she joining us from?
We're told she's joining us from Anyaa Sowutoum. That's Ekia. Good morning, Ekia.
Hello, good morning, Bella.
Thank you for joining us. So what can you tell us? You are currently at the Anyaa Sowutoum constituency. Where exactly?
Precisely, as you said, I'm at Anyaa Sowutoum, and it's a constituency located in the Central Municipal District of the Greater Accra region. And this is one of the constituencies that actually broke away from the now defunct Greater constituency. We're looking at a population of some 117,220 when you take a look at the 2010 census. Now, its current MP, that is a member of parliament for the Anyaa Sowutoum constituency, is Shelley Ayawaso, who was the MP actually of the defunct Wager way back in 2004-2008. Now, when you look at the history of the voting pattern of this particular constituency, and you can tell from the figures that indeed it is an NPP stronghold. But for the 2020 elections, it looks like a clean sheet. Why? Because this is the last time Madame Shelley Ayawaso stood. That is for 2016. She's not standing again this year. The incumbent member pulled out of the race after holding the seat for 12 years. So on the ticket of the NPP, we have the King Adamako Kisi, who contested at the primary for the second time, and he won after he lost in 2015. Also for the NDC, we have Alote Emmanuel of the NDC also standing. For GUM, we have Hannah Nana Khan for GUM, and Joyce Osei Osu Labi for the CPC, as well as Samuel Owusu for LPG and Sniper Agent for the PNC. Now, we arrived at the police station here at Anyaa Sowutoum at about 4:30, where deployment had started. And currently, what you can see is that voting started exactly at 7 a.m. At about 5 a.m. when we got to the Anyaa bus stop, we had some people who are queued. I know usually what we see is that people queue with the stones and the gallons and all. No, this time on, people have their own initiative. So they give out numbers on sheets of paper. So when you come, the earliest person to have gotten there was there yesterday at 10 p.m. So she actually initiated that. And that is how the process started for the bus stop, that is Anyaa bus stop polling center, which has some eligible voters of 2005. We've also gone through to the Emmanuel Preparatory Polling Center, which has 4 centers located in that school. And for the 4 centers, we are looking at some 400 eligible voters at each center for the Emmanuel Preparatory School. And currently, we are the Papsi School Polling Center, still here at the Anyaa Sowutoum constituency, also divided into 3 centers. For Papsi A1, we are looking at some 516 voters who are expected to cast their ballots today, as well as the Papsi 1, we are looking at some 512 voters who are expected to cast their ballots. Now, let me take you through the COVID protocol. So, the water is here, yes, they have water, they have the tissue and all, but one thing I have noticed is the lack of social distancing here at the Papsi polling station. You would expect that they would separate that 2 meters, but that is missing here. And there are quite a number of people who are also not wearing their nose masks here. But apart from that, there is calm in the area. The security agencies are in place. And I've also noticed that they have divided the queues into 2. So they shouldn't be aged one queue and the youth, if I should put them in that category, also another queue. So when we have 2 aged persons voting. So when 2 aged persons vote, then they allow the other queue to also go to the process. So that is how it is happening here. It's quite smooth so far. We've not recorded any mishap so far. And we'll be visiting some more centers. We'll also be bringing you some updates subsequently from ways as well.
Thank you.
What we have,
thank you so much.
Mensa, standing again on the ticket of the NDC.
Okay, we'll come back to you.
Of the NDC, or Masters Abbey of Gom, Kofi, of
all right. Thank you so much, Ekia. Thank you. Ekia has been coming to us from the Anyaa Sowutoum constituency. Let's go to one of the densely populated areas, Odododiodoo constituency, precisely the Kolebu polling center. And here we're hearing that there have been 2 physical, altercations already, and that's because the participants there are angry. They've been queuing since last night, as we told you earlier, and they are complaining that they've not been given the chance to vote. And so security has been increased in that area, and we're told that they are trying their very possible best to restrain angry participants at this polling station. So our colleague Komla Adom is on the ground now. Komla, if you can hear us, what exactly can you say looking at the pictures that we're seeing now?
All right, Bella. So when it gets here to the Bukom Park, specifically in the Odododiodoo constituency, the polling center, it has been divided into 3 polling centers, actually. One of the polling centers here has witnessed some skirmishes, semblance of that, having to do basically with how officials here are managing the queues. So a short time ago, 2 individuals, got physical here, exchanging words, pushing and shoving one another. And then where police official here had to intervene. And then the second one occurred. And a short time ago, we had the police commander for Jamestown himself show up here, DSP Alexander Tieku, with some other security officials. And they have come in here attempting to restore some calm. They are trying to whip the voters in line to ensure that they follow their specific regulations. So you can see the security officials, they're cordoning off the area and then ensuring that the voters stay behind the cordoned off zone so that the queue will be properly managed. So Bella, it was tough for the presiding officer a short time ago to handle the 2 instances of physical exchanges here at the Bukom polling center in the Odododiodoo constituency. But as I speak to you, following the arrival of the Jamestown police commander himself, DSP Alexander Tieku, and a horde of security officials, there appears to be some calm, but the officials are still here, ensuring that the angry voters who have been agitating for over an hour because of their delays in the queue will calm down, so they undertake this particular process in a very orderly manner. So that's what you see currently happening. Here are some immigration officials there attempting to whip the voters in line, showing them to stay behind the cordon so that the officials can properly manage the queues that have developed here. And so, Bella, that's the situation as I speak to you here at the Bukom polling center, one of 3 actually in the same vicinity here in the Odododiodoo constituency.
All right, so I could see, I mean, as you were panning, I could see that there was some NPP paraphernalia in the shot as well. Do you see anyone holding any of the party colors, especially since the EC advised everyone coming out to vote to stay away from any political party color or paraphernalia, whatever the case? Have you spotted any of that?
I haven't seen any of the voters personally wielding, but if you are speaking about this particular one that you see in your shot, it is a poster with, or actually a mini billboard of sorts, actually, which is already here. It was here before the voting commenced here. It was already here. I think it was erected by the party officials of the NPP, but not any time around now. I'm told that it was one of the branding materials that the NPP candidates used here during the campaigning. And so that aside, you would not find the voters specifically carrying any party paraphernalia in the strict sense of the word, Bella.
All right. Thank you so much, Komla, and we'll come back to you for some more later. But that is the Odododiodoo constituency and precisely the Bukom Park, and that's where he says that some altercation took place, 2 sets of them, causing the security to step in and bring the situation under control. And so we hope that voting continues. But now let's talk about the security situation. We all do understand that, judging from what happened some weeks ago at the Odododiodoo constituency, that clash between NDC and MPP supporters that turned bloody, that is one constituency that we are all watching and hoping that no form of violence erupts from there. But looking at what's happening now, could we see that occurring or recurring later in the day? And we have Adib Sani joining us. He's a security analyst, and Dr. Norman also as well, to talk about the issue of security in these areas. Good morning, gentlemen, and you're welcome. Good morning. And so I'll start with you, Adib Sani. What do you make of the situation that we've just witnessed at Odododiodoo?
Well, it is no accident, it's a flashpoint. And, you know, a lot of factors goes into earmarking an area as a flashpoint. Based on the history of political violence in that area, the personalities involved. And from my observation about happenings at Odododiodoo, a lot of it has to do with personality clash between the 2 top candidates. Every police station reports to the district, to the divisional, to the regional, and of course, it all ends up at the national headquarters. So based on certain crime statistics from the area, they are able to determine. And let's not forget about the fact that we have peace monitors who are spread across the length and breadth of the country, who also feed into this. We have security operatives who operate undercover, who are able to gather intelligence about happenings within that area. And that is all that feeds into determining whether an area is a flashpoint or not. I am particularly not surprised whatsoever. Some of these things is expected, but our ability to prevent it from becoming widespread is what is going to determine whether we are successful on this occasion or not. Like I always say, we cannot have 100% violence-free election. We will definitely have some few pockets of violence here and there. And the ability of the security services to respond real time and within the shortest, time span is also going to be a decider.
Dr. Norman, we have over 38 polling stations across the country. The security did indicate that they have a little over 62,000 of their police personnel also dotted across all these polling stations, ensuring that we can maintain the peace, especially in the flashpoints as well. Looking at this from what has happened so far, do you think that the security has put in enough measures, along with the EC, to also ensure that we don't witness some of these issues?
Yeah, thank you, Bella. I don't think it's possible to achieve 100% security. No country can do that. And so I think in the time being, for what the police has done, the allied forces together with the police have done, I think is quite sufficient. And I think we should commend them for pre-positioning security men and women in locations where they anticipate violence, or even if they don't anticipate violence, where it is possible that something could happen. So I think we should leave it as it is. Some of the concerns about the military being part of the election monitoring and all of that, I think since 9/11 terrorist attack in the United States and subsequent attacks in other places, the army in almost every country has been part of the internal security apparatus. So I think the army is legitimately there, and all the other security forces are legitimately there. Because what is the point of defending the territorial integrity of this country if you cannot ensure the territorial integrity of the people in the country? So I think they've done enough. We should expect flashpoints to actually come up. That's why we call them flashpoints. So I'm not surprised. I would be disappointed if Odododiodoo constituency didn't have an incident. It will be a different day in Ghana.
Absolutely. Well, let's just cross over to the Ashanti region, where we have the education minister and also the MP for Mesia South. He's at the polling station getting ready to cast his vote. Now, this would be his third term if he should win the seat again in Mesia South. You remember that he was he got the votes to represent the constituency in 2008, and of course in 2016 again he won, and so he has been serving as MP as well as Minister for Education in the Akufo-Addo government, and so that's him there getting ready to cast his votes. And we're bringing you, like we said, the real-time pictures of what's happening at the various constituencies, especially the most important ones as well, looking at the parliamentarians who are hoping to retain their seats as against those who are hoping to kick out some of these incumbents so they can win. Now, in Mesia South, we're told that this is also another stronghold. Of course, we do understand that the Ashanti region generally is a stronghold. Currently, there's only 3 seats in the Ashanti region that have gone to the NDC. The rest of the 44 out of the 47 are still with the MPP. The NDC says 47 out of 47. They are hoping that they can get all these seats. Is that possible? We don't know. We wait to see. It depends on the voters, who we call the kingmakers in this situation. And so that is the education minister. And he's going through the verification process, I believe. And so in a short while, we'll see him cast his ballot, and hopefully we can get to speak to him after to tell us what he makes of it. But that is in the Ashanti region. Now, for the NDC, in the seats that they occupy in the Ashanti region, we have the Ayawaso, which we know has always been an NDC stronghold since it was created sometime in 2004 or so. And of course, Dr. Mohammed, after winning that seat, unfortunately passed on, and so there was a need for a by-election, and that's how we saw the Asawase MP, Honorable Mutaka Mubarak, take over. And ever since then, he's been the MP representing the constituency. So that's one of the constituencies that they hold. Ejura Setre Dumasi is one of them, and Setre Afram Plains is another. And so they only own 3 seats. 44 of those belong to the MPP at the moment, and one of them is Mesia South, where we are seeing the education minister who is casting his ballot. I believe he's just done the presidential, which is what the EC said, that you'll first be given your presidential ballot paper to cast your vote, after which you'll be given the parliamentary. So he's going through that process as well. All eyes on him, Mesia South constituency in the Ashanti region. And like I said, hopefully we'll get to speak to him to find out what he has to say about it. But yes, he's just cast his vote, and I'm sure it's quite obvious who he voted for when it comes to both presidential and parliamentary. The MPP is hoping to retain their seat. This will be the first term for the Akufo-Addo government. They're hoping that they can get a second term. Is that going to happen? Let's see what happens. But he's on his way out, and we'll see if we can get to speak to him later when our correspondents catch up with him. There we have it. Okay. Let's see what he has to say. Well, we don't have him yet. But again, for those of you who just tuned in, The Education Minister, Honorable Matthew Opoku Prempeh, has just cast his ballot at the Anyaa South constituency, one of the polling stations in there. He is the incumbent MP, and that's him in short at the moment. We're hoping that we can speak to him. So let's listen to what he has to say at the moment.
There will be a deadline. So, we also face months. We'll be able to try I'm going to do for trial. Maybe a cock. Maybe this Ghana for the political parties in America. Omo bit me about so be buying out on Sadim. Or Ghana for us was you no mas was. It's da yebu akota Ghana ni bia ko che na dwen aya dwen che anya hodin sam anya tutwa sam anya ntokwa aya dwen che so uji this why you dwuma ya on fa basa bia ma baby ayo to aba do ma Ghana for to aba to jali uji this dwuma ni enkoye dia oboka go se bi num kutupa so mo mra mesai about to na mi this said the Ghana police for the soldier for aye crado so bebo abaya aye tu hu bai best stress mo bia anya adwen se okoshe obi kutupa e diska bia komo obi amna abaye bone if he said the back amfa the back ne yire maso mu na meye basmasa no ode wo e na baaye e so mu aka ade o ma na yire ne magin government can just say the kama abaye na police for so mu a mu fa ho ncho bu fa ho ncho kra.
Yeah, about to Ashanti. Who are confident that what by me I retain the position. Nipan do go na ehwe ni say ministry no e na betumi and am e game changer na wa batu and what you might say
sir kakakai na say Ghana for heavy ministry ni dia we say any can no challenge aka Ghana for beto aba ama atu aba if we say adwuma enfie nai Nanado Danko Kufuado. What time ye chi abia ye Ghana ha for education no. A free Ghana ya le fa who dey come in criminal press to be see there. Abai bi amba manifest sika and then such a education mu say Nanado abai. Ghana for you also what you to. First who discount school, so discount to school. Here wo there be the Nanado kanono. Nyansa ni here ni anas kadi will be a trip. It's also woman the park the coin, no co school, no sampa, but you are to allow this one, I want to allow this. So opportunity and another than Kokufado. Abana available to 1.2 million Ghanaians in the secondary level. Technical and vocational education and training. It's the kind of one who are doing now, and I do I know. Now, Jesus said, me, said the all can say education ministry there, and then can to Ghana for trauma and other than
so sir, let's talk about security in your constituency. I know you made a very tough statement to anybody who tried to foment trouble as far as Anyaa South and of course the other constituency in the Ashanti region is concerned. Would you say that security has been upped for now?
We barely voted 2 hours, so we just have to be observant and vigilant.
And there were concerns that people. I'm making reference again to the statement you made that if you dare to cause any mayhem, then in your own words, yadobe chinchinga. Do you still stand by that?
I don't know. You understand the phrase? If you understand the phrase, I do stand by it.
Now, you've gone through the electoral process. This is very different. Now, because of COVID-19, we have to go through certain protocols and all of that. In your observation, would you say that the EC has placed down pragmatic measures to ensure safety of the electorate?
If Ghanaians want to tell the truth or speak the truth, this EC has done exemplarily well compared to the previous ECs. Having quite closely linked with electoral processes for some time. And I can tell you that even making a register available in its full form to parties to cross-check and ensure that the people are there has never occurred in this country. This is the first time. The parties have been given a full rendition of the register with pictures, addresses, and everything. Previously, we get an abridged form of the register, 2 to sometimes even only 4 days to the election. This has come weeks before the election. The voter register for the first time in the history of this country is being advertised publicly. And so I do support that, because everybody should be able to go through the register and object and challenge anybody who is in the register who is not appropriately designated to be in the register. So I think this EC has done very well. People claim they couldn't even do the registration. They did the registration without problem. Everything has gone well. Even in the advent of COVID, they've done what they are supposed to do. And I think, if anything at all, we should congratulate the EC for a great and a marvelous work done so far.
Well, I also congratulate you for going through the process successfully. So that was the Education Minister. He just voted. This is his constituency, the Menchia South constituency, and we will be giving you more updates. This is your Election Command Center. Back to you, studios.
All right, thank you so much. And now Martin is on standby with some more details. And we'll continue our conversation about security shortly. But Martin, what do you have for us?
Right, thank you very much, Bella. We are going straight to Komala Kluche. He is with the NDC's flag bearer, John Dramani Mahama. And we are told that about 371 people, including the flag bearer of the NDC, are expected to cast their vote at the Bole Bamboi constituency, and you know that the former president was actually a member of parliament for that constituency. Komala Kluche has joined us via Zoom. Komala, thank you for joining us. We know you are with the former president. What has he already voted, or he is in a queue to vote?
No, he is not here yet. John is en route to the Bole constituency, or the Bole Bamboi constituency from Tamale. He should be here. We pick indication he left about an hour ago. So his convoy is en route to Bole now, where he'll be casting his vote at the Bole District Assembly. But I mean, let me just give you a picture of how the place is like so far. You can see from your shore, like you did say, about 371 people have cast their ballot. The process has been smooth so far. But let me speak with the man in charge of the place. Chief, just a very quick one from you. How many people have been able to cast their ballot so far? About 88 people. Yes. And how has the process been so far?
It's smooth. It's very smooth. Yeah.
We pick indication. For instance, the gentleman over there who is on the seat over there, he's not been able to vote. He tells us that he's not had the opportunity. I saw you guys using the machine to check on him, but he's still not been verified yet to vote. What seems to be the problem?
Yes. His fingers cannot be verified by the machine, and his face too cannot be verified by the machine. So we said he should wait for some minutes. Later, we'll try verifying him again to see if it will go through.
So, I mean, that is biometrically verifying him. If that fails, if all this fails, what's the last option available to him, sir?
If all options fail, we'll look at the manual verification. We'll fill the form for him. Yes, we'll fill the manual verification form for him so that he will go through the process.
Okay, so that's the man in charge in his shots there. He is the
You can make ready.
See again? Presiding. He's the presiding officer, Martin, in your shot over there. But I mean, I can tell you that it's been pretty smooth. There hasn't been any issue. At least the various centers that we have gone to, nothing so far has happened. John Mahama, like I did, so he will be here, his ballot, and then he'll jet off to back to base in Accra, and then await what's going to happen. But as I speak with you, Martin. I mean, it's been pretty smooth. There's no issue whatsoever has happened here,
All
Martin.
right. Thank you so much, Komla Kruche, our man who has been on the campaign trail with the NDC flag bearer, former President John Dramani Mahama. We are told he is expected to cast his ballot in the next few minutes. If he does, we'll bring you those live pictures as well. So we're going straight back to Bella to continue the conversation.
Thank you so much, Martin. And I'm still here with Adib Sani, who's a security analyst, and Dr. Ishmael Norman, and he's from the Institute of Security, Disaster and Emergency Studies. And we're talking about, security matters relating to the elections. Dr. Norman, coming back to you. Now, we have been told that we have about 6,178 flashpoints across the country. This is an increase of over 1,000 from 2016. 2016, we had about 5,000 flashpoints. So the question on the minds of many people, did we go back to sleep after the 2016 elections? Because the plan was to reduce the flashpoints by ensuring that security, was increased in a lot of these areas, and whatever the issues were would have been sorted out by now. But now we have over 1,000 more flashpoints. That's worrying. What do you say to it?
I don't think we should worry too much about it because population has increased. And so there have been more people that have come into the voting arena. And when you have more people doing anything, whether it's food they are eating or football they are playing, there will be issues. So I'm not surprised about the incremental gain we have for the flashpoint. What we need to do, and as the police, the lead agency has already done, is to pre-position people, because we know where the flashpoints are, to pre-position their men and women so that if anything happens, they can counteract that. I do believe that almost every Ghanaian that I've spoken to wants to have a peaceful election. And the politicians have also done a very good job, not weaponizing their bases so that they wouldn't do silly things. So I think overall, CODIO, other agencies, CSOs, they've done a very good job, media as well. Okay. I do not expect this election to be full of violence, as we have witnessed previously. So let's continue to keep our fingers crossed that the end will be very beautiful for everybody.
Adib, what do you say about this? Especially because even during the voters registration exercise, we recorded pockets of violence in some of these areas.
Well, obviously, Bella, our ability to gather information is now more enhanced than we've ever seen before. Yeah. Obviously, the way we gathered information in 2016 would be different. And from within the security circles, there's this common saying that security is dynamic. It changes by the day. Yesterday, security is not as today. Because of new issues, now we're dealing with issues of terrorism, transnational crime, etc. New actors, new weapons, now rape. Now water can be a weapon of conflict and all that. So obviously we would have to change because this is not an event. It is a process. So as and when the issues emerge, we would have to adapt ourselves to see those issues. But it also goes without saying, as has been categorically mentioned by the IGP, all polling stations are going to be seen as flashpoints because there are instances of random acts of violence, where you least expected. For instance, just recently, the Yagaba Kubori incident. Yeah. Mind you, Yagaba Kubori, there's no single flashpoint within that constituency. Yet, there was violence flaring out. So for me, I think it boils down to the ability of the security agencies to act in real time, anytime a distress call is made to them, and the ability, of course, of the officers stationed at the various polling stations to, in some cases, de-escalate some, semblance of violence that can come up. Because mostly, when people act in an aggressive manner, as an expert, you should be able to tell that the way it is going in the next 5 or 10 minutes, it could result into something much more different. And if it is beyond your sphere, then you might have to call for reinforcement quick before things get out of control.
We'll be coming back to talk about government's response to the Ayawaso West Wogon constituency violence that occurred sometime in 2019. But we're told that Nanekuya Mankwa is currently at Ablekuma North, and she has some details for us. Nanekuya. Okay, so Nanekuya, can you hear me?
Kwashiman. Is it better?
Yes, it's better. Carry on, please.
Hello, Bella.
Yes, I can hear you, Nanekia. Tell us what
Bella,
you
Yes, Bella, I can
see.
hear you.
Okay.
Bella, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Nanekia. So carry on with your information.
So we are currently here at the Bintu.
Yes, I can hear you, Nanekia. Tell us what
Okay, so we are here at the Bintu complex at Kwashiman, A and B. We're voting. Yes. We are here at the Kwashiman Bintu complex, A and B, where voting is ongoing. It was delayed a little bit, but now voting has started around 8 o'clock. Officials were not ready to tell us what is really happening, what kept voting delayed. But now it has started. Protocols, COVID-19 protocols are being conducted before you can vote. So as you can see, people or voters have already casted, or some of them are even casting their votes here at the Bintu complex. Earlier on, we went to the Makati Hill, where a number of voters or number of people turned out to vote. Currently, there's a little confusion at the Bintu complex because of numbers. Other people claim that they came here very early, around 4 a.m. to join the queue, but they are not being allowed. So the gate has been closed for security personnel to make sure that calm has been prevailed. So currently we are here live supporting from the Bintu complex. Social distance is also observing. People are washing their hands. You'll be asked to wash your hands, use the sanitizer, soap and everything to make sure that COVID-19 protocols are being observed. So we were waiting for the MPP parliamentary candidate, Madam Shelley, to cast her vote, who came here earlier on, but unfortunately she has to go around to make sure that she monitors everything that goes on around the Ablekuma North constituency. So Bella, we'll bring you updates when we cross over to the other polling centers at Ablekuma North.
All right. Thank you very much. Nanekia Akwe, actually, and she's at the Ablekuma North constituency. Still in the studios with me, Adib Sani is a security analyst, and Dr. Ishmael Norman is from the Institute of Security, Disaster and Emergency Studies. I'm told Roland is also coming to us from Osu Alata, and he also has some updates for us. Roland.
Voting is ongoing for many of these areas in the national capital, Accra. It's where they have to get to know how they have to vote, what is supposed to be done. And so far, we're in one of the areas in Osu, exactly at Alata. Now, we have a couple of the would-be voters who have been waiting here for the last couple of an hour or so, but voting really has just started. Indeed, we'll take you around, get to speak to a number of officials of the Electoral Commission, also get to know what really is happening on the ground. First, as we always do, we need to speak to the Electoral Commission official, but let me just give you a bit description of what's happening. So far, we do have exactly the lineup, what the protocols had been. The Electoral Commission had told us that they were going to have the officials wearing their nose masks or also having all the necessary protocols being observed, and that has been done as well. Just in front of me, I do have the Veronica bucket that adequately has also been put there, and then this has been adequately utilized by the public or those who had registered to vote. But let me just first give you the extent of how the situation is. We have 2 polling stations located here, one on my left and then the other on my right. Outside, just opposite this end, we also do have. Let me first speak to an official of the Electoral Commission, get to know just briefly what the situation is currently here. Good morning to you. Please, what's your name?
I'm Judith Norte.
Oh, Judith Norte. But what can you tell me? You manage this polling station. What's the name of the polling station?
It's GMA3. GMA3.
How many of the voters do you have on your register?
286.
206.
286. 286.
Okay,
286.
286.
Yes.
But the Electoral Commission officials told me that they had decided to keep the numbers on the register smaller so that a number of people can come in and vote. It looks like that's what.
Yes.
What exactly did you go through? You went through a number of training before today?
Yes, we went to training.
And what were some of the contents of the training?
Like you are saying, how we've gotten and how we've arranged everything. That is how it's the procedure. And we've been taught how to fill the forms and everything. In case of any difficulty, we know whom to contact. So everything is in control.
Yeah. So far, I can see that. I know that you're still monitoring the situation as it is. For 286, it would mean that a number of them had begun voting. Did you really begin on time?
Yes, we did. Exactly 7 o'clock.
Oh, that's a good one there. Very much different from what we saw in some of the polling stations that we already had visited. But so far, how many have voted?
So far, quite a few.
A few. Okay, we'll try.
They'll be coming at the end of the day. We know they will come.
Yeah, definitely. It's too early. It's too early days here, definitely. Well, so that's Auntie Judith Norte is the one supervising. Representing the Electoral Commission right here. I want to speak to a number of the voters and ask them, so far, what have been your impressions? What's your name in the first place?
My name is Daniel Nitata.
Okay. So far, what are your impressions about the exercise so far?
Oh, nothing. Nothing is my impression.
Okay. Why no wega? Any problem?
Why no wega?
No, ni obabiene. So far, what have been your impression? Mini ona ni ehambo minche ake no ni amenfio ye be it's the right thing.
Oh, protocol say minche no fia no kadi bene amewiele na kan no amefio le no fia no ngona.
Fantastic. So what he's saying is that, well, they've gone through all the necessary protocols. And that also gives him the confidence that the Electoral Commission is doing what is right. And because we're in the period of COVID-19, you also would know that all of them are putting on the marks. Let me also speak to the second lady. What's your name?
Gloria Annan.
Oh, Gloria. But I've seen that many of the voters would live in the community. Do you also live in the community?
Yes, please.
Okay. And how were you looking forward to today? How enthusiastic were you?
Oh, everything was cool.
It was okay. All right. Did you come in early?
Yes, please.
Just describe for me. What did you go through before standing in this queue?
Oh, I went for training.
Okay.
Yeah, for the agents. Yeah,
All right.
I went for training before today.
All right. So which of the parties do you represent?
National Democratic Congress.
National Democratic Congress. Okay, so we are the topmost parties, one of them, NDC.
Yes.
Okay, and so far, what are your observations? What will be your own assessments, Gloria? When we are nothing,
everything is okay.
Everything is okay.
Everything is going
all right.
well. Yeah.
Okay, and you also a party agent for which of the parties?
NDC.
NDC. Oh, it looks like you are MPP. Yeah, Mr. Naughty. Okay, but. For presidential, so it means that we have two representatives of the parties for each of the elections.
Yeah, one standing in for the presidential, one for the parliamentary.
So far, would you say that the training that has been given to you by your party is also a good one? And what are your impressions about that sort of training? What did you go through in the first place?
Training, you don't understand how the work goes. It gives you details. It gives you, how everything should go. So when you come, you know what you expected, to see and then to do.
Okay. So in the training protocol regime, what did you do? I mean, the first day, maybe the second.
We went through about 2 weeks of training, intensive training. They show us, how to fill the agent, the record card.
Okay. So you have
agent record card. How to, fill the pink sheet. And then how to, when collation after everything, counting procedures, and how you're supposed to calculate the number of people who came, the total number of registered voters, everything. It's necessary because without that, you are just looking, you don't know what is happening.
Fantastic. What's your name again, sir?
Johnson Oklu.
Well, Johnson, nice talking to you.
Nice talking
and Johnson is one of the representatives, and he's for presidential.
Yeah.
Presidential election for the NDC, and you would know that we have 2 elections on each day, and it's all because of it has history but also cost implications as well, and that is why we have 2 of the agents. The lady representing for parliamentary for the MPP is here. What's your name?
Stella Labi.
Stella Labi, what you've seen here, what will be your impressions?
Oh, everything is good. Everything's okay. As they said, the training that we went through, everything has been good. And what we were taught is what we are seeing here, so it's okay. It's okay.
Well, so this is where we are. We're in the Clote municipality, and it's where we're in Osu Alata. You find that the security personnel are also available. I see a number of the police personnel, well attired. Also a personnel from the Ghana National Fire Service, another one as well. There's also a third, but it's all to ensure that we have the right sort of protocols being maintained, security also being observed, to ensure that as far as this election is concerned, we have the right sort of people who would protect those who would come in to vote, and then also make sure we have all the right protocols being observed. I know security people don't like speaking, but let me just get a word or two. How are you, sir? So far, yeah. So usually, so we have the next polling station also here, and it's where the voting is taking place. You would find that first when you come, you go look for your name. So we'll quickly take you what the procedure is. The name is being checked. 36. They've identified it, and then they'll look for it in the register. So 36 right. So and then they are using the code to scan. Your fingerprint is checked, and then we'll get to know whether it's successful. It is successful. So that's a successful person who has been passed to go on to the next step, go and be given a ballot paper. Sir, which ballot paper is the first one?
Presidential.
Presidential. Okay. So going for the presidential ballot, it is stamped. Always have to make sure that the ballot paper is stamped, and look at how they are gently folding it. Be very observant. You need to make sure that the electoral officials stamp the ballot paper, and they've been trained adequately by the Electoral Commission to make sure the right things are done. And you dip your hand in the indelible ink. You make sure that you take it with one of your hands so that you don't soil the ballot paper, and that's what you've seen. But our man who are following here so far, there's a check mark. His name, his number is there, 36. They have teared the sheet for the presidential ballot paper being folded. We're taking you through the process so that you get to know that while it's early days yet, you may be at home, you haven't gone yet to the polling station to go and go through all these protocols. So then you will know that this is what you need to do. So when we're back there, it is going to be given to, I will call him voter 36 for the meantime. And I want to. Would you say so far, while you're going through the process, you're satisfied?
Yes.
And he's been given. So we'll follow. Of course, the only one we'll try not to gauge is what he's going to. So he's there. But basically, this is what it is. The voting, as far as we have been here, the two polling stations in one of the areas in Osu Alata, it's going on successfully. Now, back to the studio.
And Walker at Osu Alata in the Clote constituency, taking us through the verification process for voters. Now, let's go to the Ayawaso West Wogon constituency. Earlier, we had Portia Gabo update us on what was happening at one of the polling centers. Now, she is at the University of Ghana, the Commonwealth Hall, and she wants to tell us what's happening there as well. Portia, can you hear us? All right, Portia will get back to us later when we're able to establish contact with her. But in the studio, still talking about security. And it's interesting, we're just about to talk about the Ayawaso West Wuogon violence that emanated sometime at the beginning of 2019 during a by-election that saw Honorable Lydia Al-Hassan replace her late husband as the MP for that area. Subsequently, there was a report by the Emil Short Commission. They made some recommendations, and government also issued a white paper rejecting almost about 70% of the recommendations that were made. Going into the 2020 elections, this is one of the areas that people have been talking about and hoping that we won't experience or witness any form of violence in that manner in that constituency or anywhere else. But Dr. Norman, looking at government's response to the recommendations made by the Emil Short Commission, the fact that up until now there has been no prosecution, even though government had indicated that they were going to forward the issue of double to the CID so they investigate and go ahead with due process if there should be a prosecution. They also rejected that of Suleimana, the man who was seen in the video physically assaulting the MP of Ningo Prampram, and a number of other issues that were raised as well. Looking at government's response, would you say that that could have an impact going into today's elections, and what could happen with regards to violence in some of these areas?
A very super rich man, George Soros, once said, he has made all his money from mistakes. Mistakes are a very important component of virtue. And if we are able to have a successful election with minimal violence, it should be attributable to Ayawaso West Wuogon violence. So out of that horrible event, we are now beneficiaries of what we must do in order not to repeat that. So the never again that we were all saying is actually being practiced today.
Okay.
As far as government implementation approaches is concerned, I think there is a school of thought that said government didn't do well. But then there's also another school of thought that said government couldn't have done any better than what it has done. Sometimes it's good to let matters be as they are and then build upon that mistake and correct it. I think what we are seeing today, and I believe, I have a very strong suspicion that we're going to have a very successful election. What we are going to experience today is that government has ensured that today will not be like Ayawaso West Wuogon. That alone should be applauded, because we have all learned from that horrible mistake. I think sometimes it's approaching event with the Old Testament, whipping stick. It's not the best approach. We've gone through that. We've learned from our mistakes. I apologize for the experience of Honorable Sam George. I apologize for all the people that suffered because of that. But can we all learn to get along and move on and look at the bigger picture, Ghana?
If that's the case, I mean, there are some people who would go into some of these constituencies with some form of agitation. And in the back of their minds, they would say that, well, government didn't do anything about what happened. What's the guarantee that if anything should emanate from any of these constituencies, they would even do anything about it moving on, whether or not it is their fault, that happened? Nadeeb Sani, what do you say about these people who might go into these constituencies with that thought?
Well, first of all, it is instructive to know that security is a process, it's not an event. And like Dr. Norman said, a lot of lessons have been learned in the past. When you follow critically steps put in place by the police, it is very much in reaction to what happened with Ayawaso West Wuogon. Because one of the mechanisms they've put on the ground is to ensure some level of confidence in the process by the people. Not just going to courts, but doing the right things on the ground. And one of it is what they have put together called incident reporting and response mechanism. It is important because as and when the incidents happen and is reported, it is responded to. So if someone slaps me and I report it immediately, investigation is conducted. They don't have to wait until after the electoral period. So the next time I'm slapped, and if nothing is done about it, you think I would go back to the police? Of course, I would make an attempt to fight back. So with that incident reporting mechanism, I think it is important. Now they have made it such that the patrol units would be strategically located. So if anything happens and they are called within a very short period, they would rise up to the occasion. Let's not forget about the so-called national security operatives who my big brother Adam Bona calls masquerades. I mean, would not show face this time around because Ghanaians have been educated, and now I understand the security agents who would be on the ground would be uniquely identified with their name tags and, of course, wristbands that would identify them as having a responsibility at that police station. But you see, one of my biggest challenges had to do with interoperability of the various security agencies so far as election security is concerned. We know police have their unique set of training. The military, they are defense, they are trained to kill, you know, which is different from the police because we interact with the police on a daily basis. So how do we ensure how do we ensure that they are also able to, in a much more progressive manner, play that interior role? And I understand a training has been conducted for all of the over 62,000 officers who will be in charge of election security, and I think it's a good sign.
But, you know, we'll cross over shortly to another constituency. But, Dr. Norman, just quick one as well, whilst we wait for connectivity. We have the Ningo Prampram MP, Honorable Sam George. He came into the studios and said that he was issuing a warning to government that they should not show up with any national security operative in his constituency. Because if he saw any of them, then you cannot promise what would happen. And I was a little concerned about that because, again, does that sort of reduce the confidence that Ghanaians have in the security? And moving forward, then that means that I should go there as my own security and try to maintain the peace instead of allowing the security to go. But we also need to understand where he's coming from because he's been a victim of such violence being perpetrated against him. What do you say?
I think Honorable Sam George was expressing his opinion, and it's not gospel. I believe that he's entitled to express his opinion, but government has a duty to safeguard the life of every Ghanaian, and that includes his constituency. I don't think just because he's a member of parliament, honorable, can dictate to government what government should do. So I think it was over the top. But sometimes we have to allow people that have been victimized by a system, and he's speaking more or less like a victim or as a victim. And because of that, I will treat his remarks with deference and allow it to fly by and not pay too much attention to that. Because sincerely, he cannot stop government from deploring security men to his constituency.
But national security operatives?
He cannot tell government, he doesn't have a right to tell government. Nobody has a right to tell government what should be the people that compose of the detail that go to any constituency. That is the prerogative of government. As delegated to the IGP, IGP can constitute the group as he wishes.
I see.
And a quick one, okay? There are different layers of security. Apart from the uniformed officers we would see at the polling station, of course, there will be national security operatives gathering intelligence on the ground. Because in security circles, we say prevention is always key. So if they are able to gather actionable intelligence, they will be able to preempt and progressively prevent violent situations from even occurring.
Let's go back now to the Ashanti region. Earlier, William Evans Inkum gave us updates on some incidents that happened in one of the polling stations. He says he has some feedback for us now. William, what can you tell us?
Well, so I can tell you that, sanity has prevailed. The ink, the validation stamp that they were actually waiting for has finally arrived. So there's absolute peace as far as the Baba Kompo polling station is concerned. So as you can see, the voters are going through the process. I mean, one funny thing that I have observed as far as this particular polling station is concerned has to do with the representatives of the two major political parties. Of course, I mean, this particular constituency is only a battle between the incumbent, Muntaka Mubarak, and then the MCE for Asokore Mampong, who is also one who is an old foe to Muntaka Mubarak, that is Honorable Alidu Seidu. Now, the party agents are keeping a very regular eye. I mean, as far as the process is concerned, they are not even certain. I mean, it's like matching each other boot for boot. I mean, trying to ensure that, I mean, the process is very free, fair, and transparent. I think that's the beauty of democracy. But the most important thing is that they all agree that the process is going on smoothly. And as you can see, people are still in the queue.
Okay.
They're still
Evans,
waiting to have their turn. Yes, Bella.
well, I'll let you hold on quickly. Let's go to the NDC headquarters with Evelyn Tengman, and we'll come back to you. Evelyn, what can you tell us?
Bella. Yes, Bella, like you rightly said, we are currently at the NDC headquarters here in Accra, and nothing really is happening here. Right. Now, I saw a couple of people here, but all of a sudden, they are nowhere to be found. What exactly is the problem?
Yeah, these were people who were going to vote, they were stranded, and then they decided to come to the party office. So we just assisted them.
Evelyn, we cannot hear him. If you can please get the microphone closer to him. Evelyn, if you can hear me.
That's why they were here.
Yes, Bella.
No, we want the microphone closer to his
now?
lips, so microphone, not the earpiece.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so as I said, they were people who wanted assistance to go to their various regions to go and vote. They were stranded and they came here for assistance, and we've been able to get some vans for them to go to their region to go and vote. So basically, those were the people who were here.
So which regions are you talking about?
Oh, some are going to the central region, some to the Volta region. And you know, the Volta too is scattered. Going to Aplao is different from going to Ho and all that. So basically, they were scattered, and then we've been able to take care of them.
All right. So how is the NDC monitoring the elections today?
Yeah, there's a team who are going around from the various regions and constituencies. And we also have other areas that they report to. So there are people who will be reporting here and other places too. So basically, so far, so good.
Okay.
Just that the report that we are having is that there are some people who have not started voting as we speak. And the problems in these areas has to do with, I think, sorting of the ballot materials and all that. But as it's getting to 9 or 9, I think that at this time, maybe most places are also.
All right. Evelyn, thank you so much for that update. We'll go back there when we have some more information. But let's go back to the Asawase constituency where William Evans Inkum is on standby. He was updating us on some issues that have been resolved. Evans, talk to us.
Well, absolutely. So 343 electorates or voters are expected to cast their vote here at the Baba Kompo polling station. Already, the last time I checked, some 36, but now I can tell you that approximately 40 people have gone through the process of voting at the moment. As someone say, when you're talking about security, I can tell you it is very apt. While I was coming on my way to this particular polling station, I saw a number of military men also patrolling this particular area. Don't forget, I told you earlier that, I mean, after an interview I had with the commanding officer of the 4BN, Lieutenant Colonel Kwesi Pepra, we are going to see more army personnel deployed to Flashpoints, and Asawase is one of them. It has been, after 3 hours of voting in the Ashanti region, the region has been relatively peaceful. Better.
Indeed, and we hope that we continue to maintain that peace in Asawase and also in all the other constituencies as well. Thank you so much, William Evans Inkum, for that update. But back to my guest, what exactly do you say about work that has been done so far and what you think are the lapses in terms of security detail?
Who goes first?
Okay.
Well,
I have personally had meetings with officials of the Ghana Police Service. I have been on a number of platforms with them, and I've also keenly followed the IGP and the work that has been done right from the beginning. I understand a lot of stakeholders were met by the police, including civil society organizations, the clergy, and other opinion leaders, including chiefs. Just recently, I understand a press soiree was also held for the media, and a number of training activities also done for the media nationwide. The media's coverage of this election is extremely key, and one of my, this is personal because a security practitioner at the same time a member of the Ghana Journalists Association. One of my biggest concerns has been security for journalists. And according to Sheila Bachman, who I met on one of the networks some few days ago, some numbers would be dedicated to just media personnel, not any other person. For other Ghanaians, they can call 18555 if they need the police maybe perhaps they are in a state of distress. But some numbers will be given to media personnel to call if they are in any situation. I think it's a good thing. I spoke about the early warning, the reporting and response mechanisms. And when you take a closer look at all that has been done, it's strictly by the book. In fact, the police have virtually done everything that has to be done in an election. But I'm hoping that a lot of the strategies that exist on paper would find grinding on the ground. Because I remember prior to this today, there were a number of flashpoints at Odododiodoo. But just days later, we had clashes there. And like I say, flashpoints don't just happen in a vacuum. A lot of things is taken into consideration before identifying an area as flashpoint. So I expected that at least we would have some more boots on the ground, we would have intelligence officers on the ground, or under certain circumstances, we can take drastic measures such as completely stopping certain activities from even happening.
Before
a total ban before elections, a total ban in political activities, because there's always been a tendency of politicians not actually respecting the Public Order Act, which entails you to inform the police 5 days clear. But on random basis, they wake up one morning and decide to go on a peace walk or a peace march. So overall, I must say, a lot of work has been done, but I am hoping that the security agencies on the ground will be able to live up to expectation. Okay.
Well, we'll come back and have Dr. Norman speak on that. But Nane Dria, pardon me, is with the presidential press corps, and they're on their way to the president's hometown, and he will be updating us. Well, what can you tell us?
So what I can tell you is that we are on our way now currently to Chebi, Ebuakwa South, and then to witness the president vote. So he'll be voting at polling station B, Rock of Ages, at Chebi. So currently on our way to Chebi, as you can see, the press corps in the convoy going now. Bella.
All right, and I'm sure that you had the chance, hopefully, to interact with, the president and the team that he's traveling with. What is the mood like so far?
The mood is that of optimism. Clearly, the president has said on several occasions that he's very confident that he's going to college, that everybody should go out there and vote, and that has been the message to the people. And so the enthusiasm is great since last night till this morning before he moved. The expectation is high that people will turn out, and he's very will be his.
All right. Well, that's Nana Kwekudia. He is a presidential reporter. We're having some interference with the feed, but like he said, they are on their way to the president's hometown, where he will be casting his ballot. Chebi Ebuakwa South constituency in the eastern region. And Nana Kweku is back, I believe. Can you hear us, Nana? Nana, can you hear us? We're having some challenges with the connection. Nana, okay, you're back. Well, so what can you say about who he may be traveling with as well? Because we expect that his family will also offer him that full support. Do we have all of them with him?
I'm back.
Nana.
Exactly. So the tough. Yes, the wife is with him, as well as some people from the presidency. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll just come back to you later when you get to the constituency and the polling station, and we'll bring you some live pictures when the president is ready to cast his ballot. But let's do some analysis and look at some history when it comes to, well, the constituency. We'll do that later. But let me just quickly finish with Dr. Norman, and then we'll go on a quick break. Lapses, Dr. Norman, and, you know, he was just talking about some issues with regards to some of these constituencies. That means that Ewutu Senya East as well would fall under some of these constituencies that witnessed some violence as well. Should we then have, you know, stopped activities to some extent in those areas as we await, you know, the December 7 elections, like Adib Sani had said, could have happened in the Odododiodoo constituency? And what would be the lapses for you?
Right. I think the corrections that have been made is going to cater for a lot of mistakes that have been committed before. So I still reaffirm my confidence that we're going to have a beautiful election. We're going to be an example to the world, especially to the United States of America.
They should be learning from us, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Indeed.
I think in the area of lapses, I think fake news has been a big chunk of electioneering, which I think the cybersecurity outfit of our police department should really firm itself up and be able to stop the spread of fake news before it gets disseminated widely. The other thing is we have heard a lot of information or news about the deployment of security people in the Volta region. Yes. I do not know if media representation today is as active as the presence of security men and women in the Volta region. So I am dying to hear what is happening with voting processes in the Volta region. And because the accusation was that government was going to intimidate people in the Volta region and so on and so forth. I want to debunk that with the news coverage. And that the media can do us all a great favor and provide us with this information.
And your Election Command Center will bring you all those details. You have to stay with us here and get those details. But speaking about false information, so the Ghana Armed Forces has responded to some of these in circulation. And it says here, I'll read it quickly, that the Ghana Armed Forces finds it necessary to respond to 2 messages on social media with impinge on its professional integrity. One is an audio recording and the other a written statement. They both make unfounded commentaries on the Ghana Armed Forces which need to be corrected. The audio recording by an unidentified male voice alleges the relocation of gadgets from Accra to Ho with the aim of intimidating the people of the Volta and Oti regions in collaboration with a neighboring country. The fact of the matter is that the Ghana Armed Forces has deployed to all regions of Ghana in connection with the 2020 general elections. The deployment is in support of the Ghana Police Service and is standard practice. There is no other motive. The second is a statement by purported concerned officers of the Ghana Armed Forces and the Ghana Police Service. This piece is a catalogue of falsehood and fabrications with no scintilla of truth in them. Among the allegations are that vigilantes are embedded in the Ghana Armed Forces and that there is a planned coordinated ground offensive from the eastern border on the 9th of 6 December, which is yesterday. This might either be an orchestration or a planted story to cause alarm among the local population. All ranks of the Ghana Armed Forces are hereby implored to go about their duties with their usual focus and determination to ensure the success of the elections. The general public must also feel free to cast their ballots when the polls open on 7 December 2020. And that was signed by E. Agri Kwashi, Colonel Director, Public Relations at the Ghana Armed Forces. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Adib Sani is a security analyst, and also we've had Dr. Ishmael Norman from the Institute of Security, Disaster and Emergency Studies. There's more analysis coming your way right here on your Election Command Center. Please stick and stay with us. We'll be right back.
This is the moment we have all been waiting for. Election Day 2020.
About 2016, no tonu bomb mame. I see them miserable. Monyelo bomb.
The time has come to show Nana Akufo-Addo and MPP the red card and let them go back into opposition.
This is your Election Command Center. We are coming to you live from all across the country. We're covering every constituency. We'll bring you all the stories, big and small, and all happenings from all polling stations across the length and breadth of Ghana. Decision 2020, the most comprehensive election coverage brought to you by your Election Command Center.
Live on TV3, 3FM 92.7 and online.
Hashina Lande Samino no or the IO send with care and a sending in Momo or sending 1,000 Ghana cedis and then also near accident in tea. IO send with care or my bohumi and sa ya brand of 3,000 Ghana cedis so I'm finishing the hospital bills. Auntie Grace Bedina and Sour Hospital. A fee near in a walk of fee. A sign say or yeah IO send with care insurance in tea. IO a manisika supporting the hospital bills. Esa is my men's money and mammy 1,000 cedis if I send with care hunty. Ayo money 3,000 cedis. Modi and mammy a year. So person money sikama bush any beer. Making sure so be you so Ayo send with care by dialing *170#. Select option 1 and option 3 to send with care. Never will buy.
Ayo, because you care.
What do you need to win on virtual sports betting? Just one thing, your smartphone. Place a bet on 1xBet. It's very simple, just one click. Then watch your bet win and enjoy every victory. 1xBet, virtual games, real wins.
This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the Gaming Commission of Ghana. Bet responsibly, not for persons below 18 years. Gambling can be addictive.
Na jauti kai mu da do presi wa se wan timensi
mate the sis be sire why na me yikwa na tretre wo ojari malaria din ya chinsa
eja kwa kuma 2 years so onum dan proke herba mister osisi mbadu say from oyire so doctor ka chene say o malaria mo ani bi oni pedue mu a so onum dank antima x yare malaria ebe kokora obi wo hono ma ne yem ye ne yanso a so onum dank gastro care herba mister ohun beton dank phyto care herba mister koko ebe ye hu adwuma ma wapon waposo tutu dank extra care herba mister obenya hoden ne watimi anante make afo dank no nyina e de amamo
na ebenya dwe nya bi we
pharmacy shop ana herba shop also pe dank nura ye be ma obi
pacho mo number ye sen
0266593330
enroi oba pemfo oba ma akora nufo anya akora woni mfie du mienu ntime no FDA ahwesa edwedie nkratwe mu aja tonse.
How safe is your environment from pathogens? How do we survive this new normal with bacteria and viruses everywhere? You can take charge of your environment by using Good Air Sans Humidifier with chlorine dioxide tablets to get rid of pathogens, including bacteria and viruses. You can use Good Air Sans Humidifiers in your homes and offices and be rest assured of protection against pathogens. Just set up the Good Air Sans Humidifier in your space to disinfect the place continuously for virus and bacteria-free environment. Our devices work in both public and private spaces like schools, hotels, hospitals, churches, mosques, restaurants, salons, and homes to enjoy a nice family time. Good Air. This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
We are building contractors.
And we love our job.
No matter what you do, peace comes first.
This is why we need peace before, during, and after this election.
Sasso, baby, c'est pour me tonton frère. Sasso, baby, c'est pour me tonton frère. Edwana Joami ne buseshe. Yeha kasiane malaria. Minya mi kone me sasso spray. Every mosquito starting run away. Sasso, me se come tonton preko. Come tonton preko. Sasso, e come tonton preko.
There are far too many motorcycle accidents in Ghana. People are dying every day because we don't obey the rules. As a rider, you must wear your helmet at all times. So must your pillion rider. No exceptions. And please listen to me carefully. The traffic lights apply to you too. Stop at the signal and stay alive. The National Road Safety Authority wants us all to look out for ourselves, protect each other, and arrive alive. Thank you.
Your family needs you alive. Everyone needs you alive. Arrive alive.
Oh, so there was where Saja never no more. Shano. Saja never no more. Shano. Saja capsules. Dima sama wrong.
Eja pusupa. Na bloka so nko na ni bright soja. Ah, e free se me nya bright garlic plus. Na me sole me numu nya me de. Me moje ni afrisani ye. Me ye bibia na mani aha ena ni nyina to atwa
first na me yire suma me rough na me nya bia me bobo ye no me yire atiem ehemboto
we yire atiem shaboto
wasansi me hene e wo fie ba
she
mo sa mo kwa na mo ni bright soldier
big mama na de obesi mo say
e fi se obi di ho dance ma me to obi ma me kunu e fi ha dwumadin nyina papa etini ye ene wo sa kire me bright garlic plus me kwa ha ba na mabre ene wo ka se me huru kwa me gura chi
Bright Soldier Capsules.
Bright Garlic Plus.
Yes, mama. Edre nyama obapemfo. Batan ya oma de banofo. E na akwara a onya mfie dumienu.
Breakfast today, every day.
Nestle. Good food, good life.
This advertisement has been vetted and approved.
Still making payments with cash? Paying for goods and services with cash reduces your ability to practice social distancing and puts you at risk of catching the coronavirus from an infected person. Switch to digital payments now and help combat the spread of COVID-19. Yeah, Corner Digital. It's still cash, only better.
Contact your mobile money provider, bank, any fintech, or download an app from the iOS or Google Play Store to get started.
This message is brought to you by the Ministry of Finance.
We remain your election command center. Thank you for staying with us. Thank you for choosing us. We are actually trending right now on social media. So we are swinging straight to the west wing of our command center where Dela Michelle, specifically on ground zero in the west wing, Dela Michelle has a guest, special guest, and we told you that that seat, ground zero, is where all the major voices and key personalities that will be passing through would get to share their thoughts on today's big exercise, which is nationwide. We're going straight to the West Wing. Dela Michelle, good morning. It's good to see you. What's happening at the moment where you are?
Absolutely, Martin. This is the ground where you get to hear, of course, all the big voices that you need to hear on your election command center. Joining me on ground zero is the British High Commissioner himself, Ian Walker, who's going to give us his observations so far. We know it's still early in the morning, but of course, he's been around some of the polling stations. He's going to share his observations with us. He's also been here in our studios right here at your election command center. He's also going to share what he has seen with us. Your Excellency, welcome to ground zero. This is the West Wing of your election command center. You've been here, you have been moving from all our set. What do you have to say concerning that?
Well, it's hugely impressive. I mean, I think elections are about voting, but I think the media plays a central role in elections in kind of reporting, making sure people have confidence in what's happening and understanding how the stories of the day are developing. So it's great to see the kind of extent of the coverage that you guys have, and great to kind of be here and join you this morning. Thank you.
Top-notch softwares that you're seeing here, actually. So you've also been to some of the polling stations this morning. Tell us specifically where you've been, your observations, how the process has been so far.
Yeah, so I went to Korepan this morning. Korepong, sorry, and then to Cantonment's post office. So I went to a couple of polling stations. I mean, it was great to see the much anticipated election happen and begin, and both were unsurprisingly calm, really quite well organised, and people were going about their voting. One person I spoke to had been there since 2:30. I was quite surprised. That's quite committed. But yeah, all seemed very calm, and it was good to kind of see election day starting hopefully quite smoothly, and continuing that way too, I hope.
We know that the UK, the Australian Commission, and that of the Canadian Commission as well also have brought in some observers to specifically monitor the process. I know you've been in touch with some of your observers. Tell us what they've been telling you on the grounds, because some of them actually had the opportunity to monitor the special voting prior to what we are seeing today. So what has been the general feedback from these observers?
So we have observers, over 100 observers around the country, Tamale, Kumasi and many other of the urban centres, as well as slightly further out, and they have been deployed for the last kind of couple of days, and will be there until the end of voting this evening. And I think we deploy observers at the invitation of the Electoral Commission, and we do it as friends and partners of Ghana, because we know Ghana does elections and does elections well. So our observers there are there to kind of support that process, to observe it, and to kind of feedback and provide kind of reports on the back of it. Our hope, really clear hope, in fact our clear expectation, is that the election goes ahead freely, fairly, and enables anyone that wants to vote should be able to do so. So we watch during the course of the day and hope and expect that to come to pass.
The standards are high for us Ghanaians, especially from those of you watching outside the country. The results or how this election is going to be is actually going to influence what we're looking at in terms of trade. Tell us what are some of the things that you've been hearing from people, especially in your jurisdiction, when it comes to the expectations with this election?
Well, I think both of the candidates are kind of heavyweights of the political scene in Ghana. I think most people around the world would know both of the main candidates, and we know how important this election is for the people of Ghana. In terms of from our perspective, truly whoever wins. We want to, I think as Ghanaians want it to be peaceful, and make sure that whatever result comes out is respected, and done so objectively and kind of scrutinised and made sure people are comfortable with it. Because I think, as you said, the expectations are high. I think people look to Ghana as the reference point for democracy. The traditions over the last 7 elections, and this obviously being the 8th, have been hard-earned. And the consequence of it, I think, is that it's on the basis of democracy that Ghana's development, its prosperity has been built. So I think it's the basis on which we hope and expect to see more investment coming into Ghana, closer ties between Ghana and so much of the rest of the world. But as I said, for me, I think there's always a challenge that we want to scrutinise and critique, and we should of course do that. But I think today is a day of optimism. It's a day of people having power, of having their vote to decide which government they want, and making sure that whoever they decide is respected and come into government. Well, let's see from tomorrow potentially, from when they announce tomorrow.
You've been speaking about support, which of course is not just with the observers that you have employed, but also some financial support. Touch with us what exactly that support and to which extent that support has been.
Sure. So we have for some time now supported CADEO. So we fund CADEO, we fund through Star Ghana many civil society organisations who support the kind of institutions, I suppose, of government. I mean, everyone knows the ties between the UK and Ghana are close. So on the political side, each of the political parties have connections with political parties in the UK, but that's not my interest. My interest is on, supporting the kind of institutions of democracy, because I think we all know democracy is more than a vote. The vote is essential, and today is a fantastic day, but our support has been around, I've been up in many places, up in Kumasi, working with some of the Zongo communities. We've been funding some of the outreach work on educating, younger voters really on the importance of peace, and not just in a generic sense, but recognising that when it comes to violence, often many of these people are victims themselves. They are taken advantage of because of their situation, and trying to kind of share why and why important voting is, and to be able to do so without fear or favour.
Aside that, also, we know that you will be here for some time with your team moving from one polling station to the other, but I want you to look straight into your camera and send out your message to Ghanaians, especially as we are having our elections underway.
So my hope to the people of Ghana is that you should get out and vote. This is your day. This is your day to choose the government that you want. And I totally expect that your vote will be fully respected, and whoever comes to win the greatest number of votes will then come into power in Ghana, and that is for the people of Ghana to choose. I hope, as a friend of the country, as an impartial friend, that we keep an eye and support those people on the process who are making that come to pass. But this is Ghana's day, and it's a proud day for Ghana, and I look forward to playing a very minor role, but hopefully a supportive one as that comes to pass.
Thank you for your time. And you heard from the British High Commissioner here in Ghana, His Excellency Ian Walker, sharing with us his expectations and, of course, giving us an overview of what other international bodies are looking for when it comes to election coverage right here in Ghana. I am Della Michelle, coming to you from Ground Zero. This remains your Election Command Center. Back to you, Martin.
All right, thank you so much, Della Michelle. And yes, we're giving you some information about Professor Nana Jane Opoku Agyeman. And we're told that she cast her ballot around 8 a.m. today at the Commander Edna Eguafo Brim constituency in the Central Region. And that is her home constituency. And, well, something came up. So at the polling center, she was asked to use any of her fingers on the verification machine. And she was not too happy about that because the law permits only the use of the thumb. And so she addressed the media after casting her votes. And so that is the vice presidential candidate of the NDC. That's her earlier walking towards the polling station. And, well, she voted at the Commander MA polling center in the Commander Edna Eguafo Brim constituency around 8 a.m. And, well, she wasn't too happy that she was asked to use any of her fingers on the verification machine, even though the law permits only the thumb. She was, however, optimistic of a peaceful voting process across the constituency and across the country. And she urged the electorate to place premium on the peace of the country than their personal interest. Now, the vice presidential candidate was addressing the media after successfully casting her ballot at Komena MA polling center at Komena in the Komena Edna Eguafo Brim constituency. I mentioned earlier that she was there as early as 8 a.m. to cast her ballot, and that's her on your screens at the moment. And if she should, if the NDC should win, this would be the first time in the history of the nation that we would have a female vice presidential candidate. And already she made history when she was announced as the running mate to the flag bearer of the NDC, former President John Dramani Mahama, as the first female VP candidate for one of the two main political parties in the country. And so that generated a lot of talk. A lot of people have expressed some optimism about the fact that we could possibly have our first female vice presidential candidate. But it also, well, vice presidents, that's if the NDC wins. And it all depends on the votes. The MPP is very sure, very optimistic that they are retaining, the presidency. And so let's see what happens later after all votes have been cast and it's been closed, because that is when we'll start counting. And so that's her going through the verification process. And like I mentioned earlier, she wasn't too happy because she says that the polling station agents had asked her to use any of her fingers, when in actual fact, the law says you should use your thumb. And so all these details, you can only find them here on your Election Command Center. We're updating you all through till the announcement of the results by the EC. And so that's why we ask that you stay with us so you can get up-to-speed information. So that's her going through the process, like I mentioned earlier. Professor Nana Jane Opoku Agyeman, the vice presidential candidate for the NDC. Very interesting, I must say. And there's still more coming your way. Now it's 9:50 a.m., almost 3 hours after voting began in a number of the constituencies. We also addressed some challenges that occurred in some of these constituencies. The Asawase constituency, one of them, where William Evans Inkum came your way with some details on what could have led to the delay. We also witnessed some form of altercation somewhere in the Odododiodoo constituency at the Bukom polling center. That has been resolved, as Komla Adom also updated us on what the security detail have been able to do to calm nerves, and voting has begun. And so, like I said, we'll keep doing this all throughout the day, into the night, into tomorrow, so that you can get updated on what's happening all across the 275 constituencies. We have 12 presidential candidates, and that makes it 1 independent and 11 political parties. We also have 883 parliamentary candidates, over 38,000 polling stations. We have it covered, and our eyes and ears are on the ground. We'll be coming your way with some more when we get back. All right, so like I mentioned, we'll quickly take a break, but what you can see on your screens are some of these polling stations ahead of voting commencing in some of these polling stations. They show the empty ballot boxes to those who had queued, just to show them that it was indeed empty and they were ready to start this free and fair process. And so that's what you are seeing then, one of the constituencies, one of the polling stations. And later we'll have some of our other colleagues join us on air, and also they will hold the fort as, you know, we continue to bring you some more details. Credible analysis, you get it here. And it's not just this studio, the West Wing is also there, where we'll be fact-checking on Ballot 360 all the information that comes in. And so look forward to Patrick Stevenson giving you some updates from that angle. We'll also check the social media polls to see what people are saying on social media. And Helen will be manning that particular studio, and also our data center, where all the details from the various polling centers and the constituencies would come your way. But let's see if we can go on social media for social media polls. Let's read some of the comments, and they would come your way. Election Command Center is currently trending, and so you can go check all those details and let us know where you're voting for. Remember, for every message that you send in, remember the hashtag is Election Command Center. We'll be right back.
The clapping of our hands, tapping of our feet, and slapping of our skin continue to increase as our full attention has been shifted to COVID-19. While the mosquitoes grow wings in our households and are flying in our environment, while we observe the protocols to curb the COVID-19 pandemic by washing our hands with soap, using alcohol-based hand sanitizers and disinfectants. Wear mask always if you are infected or not, and ensuring social distancing. Let's also drive away malaria, which slowly raised our hope by using Roma insecticide spray and mosquito coil. Roma in Tum Tum Master.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
To say thank you to our cherished readers, vendors, and all stakeholders as we celebrate our 70th anniversary, Graphic Communications is giving away 4 brand new Kia Pega saloon cars and a whopping 1 million Ghana cedis in prizes in the Graphic at 70 loyalty promo. Just buy a copy of any of our publications daily, cut out the promo coupon and drop your coupons in drop bins at selected locations near you. Or send a screenshot of your daily subscriptions of Graphic News Plus to graphic@lalafio.com. You also earn points when you drop off old copies of any of our newspapers at designated drop-off points. Win more points by buying more copies, dropping more coupons, returning old copies of our publications, and be part of our trivia games to stand a chance of winning a brand new Kia Pegas and lots of cash prizes. Dial *706# to join and start accumulating points today in the Graphic at 70 loyalty promo with lalafio.com and supported by Ranamo.
As I say, Ebusu say, get a litigation-free land today. Regna Properties is giving away 50% discount on all their lands. I have 4. Shy Hills was 30,000, but now 15,000. Asalaja was 30,000, but now 15,000. Ewutu Breku was 10,000, but now with just 5,000. Dodowa was 60,000, but now 30,000. The good news is when you make a deposit, you get 100 pieces of blocks free. There is a tiled road to the site. Free site visiting every Saturday. Our sites are properly demarcated. There is electricity available, and our lands are fully registered and documented. Contact us now. Regnum Properties wishes you a Merry Christmas and a prosperous New Year.
Wow, this boy is great. Nasha one sway. I hope Kubia. Ya made diagro. Brain syrup. Any anujieno. Brain syrup. Won't be an to say. Omega-3 fatty acids, vitamins a drop E, and the glutamic acid. A woman mofra actually mudom. Nessa mawa pomodane. Brain syrup. Ubenya biwa drugstore e ben womo. Nedu dromu die. Frejucard Pharmacy. E one crying. Okaishi Drug Lane. E was 0244 560 296.
FDA. Asha sa e jadian kratwe yim. Hajia to say. Eze.
This is the moment we have all been waiting for. Election Day 2020.
Ballot 2016 Mutulu Bombame. I see them Messamo. Monyalo Bomb.
The time has come to show Nana Akufo-Addo and MPP the red card and let them go back into opposition.
This is your Election Command Center. We are coming to you live from all across the country. We're covering every constituency. We'll bring you all the stories, big and small, and all happenings from all polling stations across the length and breadth of Ghana. Decision 2020, the most comprehensive election coverage brought to you by your Election Command Center.
Live on TV3, 3FM 92.7 and online.
Yen here soje, yen here hunto, yen pese basabasabi beba, ese basabasabi sia, enfa na meme ko, enfa na mema ifa, enti de misra banse, omo de anonfa amanfo nkasa na asoje mra.
abato emu bibia nya asumdue obi bia nkoto na aba fefefe yempe gidigidi bia asumdue ne yempe na bibia anya boko ye wi abato no so ne yekenkan a obi bia fa asumdue na bibia anya fefefe ye damos
time no so a ukwa no akodi lai no akoto waba wo de ukokomoti na si baabi a wo se wo di si so ma no uwi a uko fie peace ya pasumdue si ebeto aba no peace sim bian to bian.
We are about to vote for the coming 2021 election. All I want is peace and harmony among our countries. May you help each other. Whenever you finish voting, you should go home peacefully and don't create any commotion or any charge or anything against anyone. Even if someone asks you, whom did you vote for? Your vote is your secret. Try to keep it within yourself and go home and go and be with your family. Prevention is better than cure. Stay home and keep yourself safe. As you can see, Corona is still in the system.
Welcome back. This is your Election Command Center, and we have been bringing you updates up to speed on what's happening on the ground, also analyzing data, fact-checking some of the information that have been coming in, also checking social media. We have it all covered, and that's why we entreat you to stay with us. Shortly, we will be handing over to the next team to take it, to the next level for the next few hours. But before that, Martin Asiedu-Date has some analysis to do, and after which we will hand over.
All right, thank you very much, Bella. So the conversation in the political space has been quite intense, specifically when you're talking about the third force that we've all been asking about. It looks as if we have that third force. Unfortunately, it might be a distant third force. And this third force we are talking about is not even... All right, so we have some news coming in, and on your screens now is the former president and presidential candidate of the NDC, John Dramani Mahama, who has just arrived at Bole to cast his ballot. He is the man clad in white. His temperature is being taken. So I'm just walking you through what's happening there at the moment, and he will be joining the 371 other persons who are expected to vote in the Bole Bamboi specifically. He used to be member of parliament for that constituency until he became vice president and president, lost and is seeking re-election. So we brought you visuals of the other candidates and their running mates who are also voting in other parts of the country. But these are live images from the Bole Bamboi constituency. Former President John Dramani Mahama is exercising his franchise, his civic duty as a citizen, and who can we all guess who is going to vote for? That would be a wild guess, right? Definitely no. We know who he will be voting for, and the over 17 million people that also registered will be deciding whether they are going to give the mandate to him or to the NPP candidate, Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo. But these are live images from Bole Bamboi, where John Dramani Mahama, the NDC candidate, is going to be voting very, very soon.
Bole Bamboi District Assembly polling station. We have 371 registered voters at this polling station. It is one of 115 polling stations across the Bole Bamboi constituency. Hello. Yes.
That's my square. So you can use your thumb or any finger, but I'll use my thumb. Yeah. And then you go like that. Yeah. Then what you do is you have to clean your hand so that the ink will dry. Otherwise, if you try to fold it again, it will mark another place. So you go like that. Ready to cut.
371 registered
The former President John Dramani Mahama and NDC presidential candidate seeking re-election. He is at his constituency, of which he represented twice in Parliament as Member of Parliament, and this time around he's voting. That's where he's been voting since 1992. And what we know is that I'm sure some of you heard the little chit-chat he had over there, teaching the young lady who was beside him how to vote. Looks like that person is a first-time voter, most likely. Says after voting, you clean your thumb and then you fold the paper this way and that way and drop it into the ballot box. He's now voting for the parliamentary candidate. And I just bring you live images from the Bole Bamboi constituency. John Dramani Mahama is seeking re-elections. A few minutes ago, we also brought you what was happening in the central region, where Professor Nana Jane Opoku Agyeman, the running mate of John Dramani Mahama, also voted moments ago. This is your election command center. If it happens and it's political, we've got our eyes and ears on it. He's putting in the parliamentary candidate ballot paper. He has just voted. And, well, he just did the sign. I mean, unless you didn't see that, but he just lifted two fingers. Can you say he's campaigning? I'm not too sure about that. But that's the... probably would address the media shortly to tell them a few things about what has happened at the Bole Bamboi constituency. John Dramani Mahama has just exercised his franchise.
Congratulations, probably, maybe in order for casting your ballot. How do you see the process?
Show them your card.
Yes.
And the name is not there, including our grandmother.
And in her case, her name is in the special voters list. No, she hasn't applied for that. Now allow him to go because the name is there and the name of life for the NDC. How do you find the process so far? You just cast your ballot. How did you see the process? I counted in minutes. You did it in less than 3 minutes.
Yes.
How do you see the process?
Well, there was no queue, and that is usual of this polling station. I've voted here since 1992, and the process has been very simple, very smooth. And so, I mean, I voted presidential, parliamentary, and as you said, under 3 minutes. Yeah.
Not sure you've done any monitoring yet, but what do you pick generally? I'm sure you've been speaking to your team on the ground. What do you pick up generally?
It's too early yet to make an assessment, but there are a few hitches. Like, I mean, this polling station, there's a lady here. She's got her card. Her card is from this station, but her name is not on the list. One of my security personnel, I registered here with him, and during the exhibition, we checked his name was there, but we got here today, his name is not there. And so, I don't know if it's a generalized problem, but like I said, it's too early yet to make an assessment.
You're going to get that rectified, is it?
We don't know. We're waiting to find out what the electoral presiding officer will say, and we hope that they can rectify it. But these are some of the little things that we kept complaining about. I mean, the Electoral Commission said they had eliminated 30,000 names from the register without saying whose names they were. And I said that on the day people are going to come without knowing that their names have been taken off. Because if you take their names off, you must give them a reason why you've taken their names off. So now one of my security details' name is not there. He's got his card. He registered here, exhibition, his name was there. We don't know what accounts for that.
Talking about challenges, last night we got some indication, some relief from the Electoral Commission that had to do with the Boem constituency. I'm sure that has come to your notice. What do you make of it?
Well, I haven't picked anything up. I didn't hear anything about
that there will be the presidential elections, but because of the creation of the Guan Assembly or whatsoever, they are unable to
you said
the parliament. Yes, Boem, not here. Boem constituency. Boem in the OT region.
Boem is having presidential and parliamentary.
Guan. Yes. So there will not be the parliamentary in a Guan constituency.
Yeah, we've always known that because the process is for and so they can't have parliamentary elections. But we have always known that they're going to have presidential elections.
Finally, His Excellency, my name is Redwan. I work with GH1 TV. What are your expectations in the next few days?
That it should go smoothly. There should be no incidents. The way you saw the atmosphere here, I hope that it's going to be the case all over the country. And if that happens, it means voting will go smoothly. And I hope that counting and collation will follow the same pattern.
Your Excellency, you have debates about the process. Your Excellency, do you still have that reservation?
When elections are made up of before, during, and after, we had reservations about the before. Now we're in the during, and so we're still waiting.
Are you okay with that?
Well, it's very early yet. It's only we don't know what will start happening after a few hours, and so let's wait and see. Oh, well, the polling station, now you had maybe a son, a corner, it's gone as I expected. But maybe I think I'm okay. And young Ruby behind you mentioned that so far, Mammy Baku, and my security, I register because on the buy and register exhibition, they may check here, they let it buy anything.
Any reason they say, what will you do?
If what happens?
If progresses and issues continue to pop up, what will you do?
Well, what will be our stance? I mean, it will depend on what comes up, and it will depend on how widespread it is. And so it's very difficult to preempt and say what you will do when you don't know exactly what is going to happen, the nature of what is going to happen.
But some of the issues have started missing some traces, verification machines not picking people. These are issues that have already started coming in.
It means we stand vindicated. These are the issues we're warning the EC about. Remember I said that on the day, it's possible that their verification machines might not work because they failed to deploy and test them during the exhibition. They tested only 5,000 of them. We have almost 40,000 polling stations. And so I was cautioning that on the day, these are some of the things that will happen. 30,000 names taken out. They didn't tell us who they are. Who knows? My security man might be one of those whose names was taken out. He's come here. His name is not on the register, but he's got his card. He registered here. He came for the exhibition. His name was there. So how his name is not there, we cannot tell. But like I'm saying, we cannot yet see the scale of it. It's only 10 a.m. and we're still receiving reports from all our polling stations because we have our agents reporting any incidents that happen. And so until I get an appraisal of it, then we know whether it's a very widespread thing or if there's a pattern to it or it is just a one-off incident. Yeah, go ahead. I'm passa que ela elections were already. Elections were Kabatomu Lantin, Kenya needs the next 1 year. Number 2, Mama FM. Mojo Mahama, John Dramani Mama and Amalgana. Metro BKK. Billar Lindiri. Ambumba Tobi Nukunku. Na anti local election na kankani kuswe eborbenwura. Oh, okay. My polling station number first, District Assembly. Kuswe Kanu Ele Basanyo Bo Atremota. But Mountain Pin Kuswe Kabeyo other polling stations. So say na any information from other police stations. Na Kenko Ballot Kusufin Bikuna Ko Kalakuswe Kakoloto na Antimpin Kusanya Kaya.
La logo bumbishi. An fune fubu asufufu. Mbanyeto kusufufu bengini fune. Akibina brofuti so Kairo Sange. So for now confident Malang fa kan fa Kairo Sange family so ka for nimsa. Nusunaji ni ade Kaura. Ebore na Sepura. Never shuli. Anyenji Nasara. I'm so common Nasarana. Nanti Anyeli na Pigwenka to play. So Asam Chunga. Bye. We don't know what the plan is. Incidents which are normal within the election. The second thing is not missing in the register. I just hope that it's not a widespread problem. But wait and see. In my polling station, everything went smoothly. I voted. There was no and we met an old lady whose name is not in the register. But then they explained to her that her name was in the special voting register. But she didn't apply for special voting. She's not an official. She's not with the media. So how her name could be on the special voting register? And then one of my security officials, my boss, I registered at this polling station with him because he came with me when I came to register. And so he registered here. He told that today he'll be here with me. Expedition we checked, his name was there. But today we came, his name is not there. He's got his voter's card, everything. I don't know what to make of it, but we're waiting to see what the presiding officer will say. But these are the few things we've picked up.
Overall, how would you describe the process? Was it smooth for you?
Oh, for me at my polling station it was smooth. And I've voted here since 1992. It's one of the best polling stations in the country.
Thank you. Fadila, you want to make say a word on behalf of your father? All right. Thank you very much and good luck.
This is still your Election Command Center, and we are bringing you live images of the two leading candidates. Moments ago, you saw John Dramani Mahama, the flag bearer of the National Democratic Congress, voting at his home constituency that is in Bole. Now, in a short while, the president has also arrived in Chebi. We are told in the next few minutes he would also be going to vote. We'll bring you those live pictures as soon as we do get them. And as we mentioned, when it has to do with politics, we've got our eyes and ears and the men following all the major stories happening across the country. Just on your screens now, videos is what's coming from Chebi specifically, and that is the President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo arriving, moving to the polling station, and will be voting. You know the protocol in place that every voter must go through. Your temperature is checked, you wash your hands, then you join the queue to go and vote. But of course, there's protocol for the president, former president, and the presidential candidates. So I'm sure for you who are yet to go out and vote, just bear in mind that you need to go along with your nose mask, and then respectfully do make sure that you observe those social distancing protocols, or the COVID protocols, I should say. President Akufo-Addo has also been voting in Chebi since 1992. Matter of fact, if there's anything to go by data, he started voting there as far back as when the elections started. And so he has also been member of parliament for that constituency, and it was from then that when he stepped down from representing the people, he went as flag bearer of the NPP and then became president subsequently. So both candidates, the NDC and the NPP candidates, seem to have some similarities. They've both been former members of parliament. At least they've both tasted power. One is currently in power, the other is seeking to unseat the one who is currently on the chair. And we are pretty sure that by 5 p.m. when polls close and the counting starts, we at your Election Command Center will start making sense of those numbers for you as they come in. We have men in all the 275 constituencies, and when the figures do come in, we'll start the analysis for you. So the president we see is accompanied by his wife, the First Lady Rebecca Akufo-Addo, and an entourage, which is expected because he's currently the sitting president, so there's some military presence around him. And because they are representing their party, which is actually not supposed to be, they just have people mobbed around them, trying to see even whom they are voting for, which shouldn't be. I think that they should be given some space. Not just that, but especially also because we are in COVID era, allow the president to vote in peace. But on your screens now, the president has just been given he's dipped his little finger, his left little finger, in the ink, the indelible ink. Then his paper will be given to him. He will go to the box to vote for presidential. I'm going to give 100 Ghana cedis to whoever can guess where Nana Akufo-Addo is going to vote. On which number is he going to be thumbprinted? I'm sure your guess certainly will be as good as mine. So you can see that he's being given he's been given the presidential ballot paper, and after that he will go on to do same for the the parliamentary candidate as well. Then again, this is one significant thing you should take note of. If you're giving your ballot paper, make sure the EC official stamps the back of it. Otherwise, it will not be regarded as valid. So make sure when they tear it, they stamp the back to validate it before you can go in and vote. And then also, as part of public education, in case the paper is soiled or you voted mistakenly, that is if you possibly are not sure by the time you get to the booth, if you voted mistakenly, you could still be given a different paper, but you would have to return the first one that was given to you. So you are given a new paper to vote on. So we're just bringing you live pictures of what is happening at Chebi, specifically where President Akufo-Addo is voting. We just saw a moment ago where John Dramani Mahama of the NDC voted. President Akufo-Addo of the NPP is also voting. And from what he's doing currently before we went off air, he would go for the parliamentary candidate paper as well, or ballot paper, I should say, and vote. And I was just giving some education. In case you are yet to vote and you go out and there is a mistake on the ballot paper, you can return it and be given another one to vote. That is just by way of public education. When we do have a good feed, we'll go back to Chebi where the president is voting. Now, he's been a member of parliament for that constituency, and it was after he said that he wanted to run on the ticket of the NPP as president, he gave up the seat and then contested as the presidential candidate. After 2 tries of 2 failed attempts, on a 3rd attempt, he won. And then today, the big thing happening in Ghana is that he's going to be contested again as to whether he becomes, he continue as president or would be knocked off by John Dramani Mahama. That decision is in your hands. And we at your Election Command Center will be making sense of the numbers from 5 p.m. when polls close. So the baton is still on up until the final declaration by the EC. The next team is here to take over. Some of us will be crisscrossing, jumping in every now and then. Handing over to Bella, we have Johnny Hughes and Bernard Tebi joining us. Good morning to those we are now seeing.
I know, right? They've had a good sleep. Yes. Well, we're very elated.
I've been monitoring, actually, so I've not been sleeping. I've been monitoring the conversations earlier with Dr. Ishmael Norman and Deep Sani, and before that as well. So I've been watching closely, yes, and listening in as well. So
was getting her.
It's not all sleep.
She needs it. But let me just quickly say that earlier at 8 a.m. as well, we had the vice presidential candidate for the NDC, Professor Nana Jane Opoku Agyeman, cast her ballot at the Commander MA polling center in the Commander Edina Eguafu constituency. But anyway, back on our screens, we have the president of the nation, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. He's currently in his hometown, Chebi, where he is going through the process to cast his ballot. And so,
but when you were coming in, what were your observations on the street? Is it quiet? Do you have people coming out? Mind you, it's a holiday.
Yeah, so I came through, like right from Achimota through Joglu, then to the Kalkudi interchange, then through the Kanda estates, and at various points you could see long queues.
Really?
But the beautiful thing was that people were masked, and that was quite, I was very happy to see that, because I was getting worried at some points, but most people were masked whilst in the queues. Long queues, and I just hope things are able to go, orderly, and everybody gets opportunity to cast their vote.
Before polls close.
I think it's because the Electoral Commission had said that no mask, no vote.
Yes.
So it's important that we maintain it.
Right.
I really don't, appreciate the fact that we say no mask, no vote. And around the Jamestown area, the Odododiodoo area, you had people crammed up in a very small place because the numbers were huge. They had to split them into 2, and they were all crammed up in a compound,
Right.
And so I'm thinking what the essence of wearing the mask is.
Yeah.
If people are wearing the mask and they are crammed up
and
they had a bit of a scuffle until the police came in to try and separate them, I'm putting 1 and 2 together. Maybe we could go back to what the Electoral Commission did earlier, where it had some 25 persons within the prisons and and then the
others
next set,
cordon off.
Next set. I don't know if that's workable.
It will depend on the polling station and how it is positioned, and if the space they're in. Because when I voted, so just by way of information, we are hoping to get a better feed to the president's voting at Chebi. On your screen now is our correspondent, who's been our presidential correspondent, Nana Kwekwe. Nana, can you hear me? Right, so Nana Kwekwe has been on the president's campaign trail and will be joining us with an update of whether or not, certainly we do know that the president now has actually voted for both presidential and parliamentary, and Nana will be telling us whether he spoke to the media, what he said. What we brought you the pictures of what was happening at Bole Bamboi, where the NDC Flagbearer voted. He addressed the gathering there, or the media that asked him a few questions. What his observations were. He said that since '92 he's been voting there, and clearly since '92 Nana Akufo-Addo has also been voting at Chebi. And so when we do get that good feed or that good connection to Nana Kwekwe, we will be picking his thoughts on what has gone on so far, and from there, where is the president headed? Well, we've been all advised that after voting, go home, watch TV3 and all our sister stations and follow what's happening, because we have accreditation to bring you information from every nook and cranny of the country. So the president is talking. Let's go in for a quick here.
Very mature, civilized people, the Ghanaian people. And as we have proved in the past, we have deep attachment to democratic values and culture. I'm not at all surprised that the process is going very smoothly and peacefully across the country. And my expectation is that it will be so till the very end and afterwards when the results are declared.
Finally, what's your expectation?
My hope is that what I saw during the campaign was that the Ghanaian people have appreciated the work that my government has done over the 4 years. They are aware that not all the problems of our country have been solved these last 4 years, but they have seen that the government is making a systematic attempt to confront the problems and provide solutions. And if what I saw and felt during the campaign is there, I'm hoping that they will renew our mandate and endorse the work that we have done these 4 years. That's my hope. Let me put it, that's my expectation as well, that we will have a clear victory today.
Governor, wish you all the best.
Thank you very much indeed.
That was President of the Republic, Nana
So the
Madam, hey.
All right, so we just brought you live coverage of the voting of the two presidential candidates of the two main parties, the NDC and the NPP. You had Nana Akufo-Addo there moments ago. He voted and addressed the media shortly to tell them what his experience was like going through the voting process. This is your election command center. Do get interactive with us on our various social media handles. A lot to talk about, and my colleagues are with me in studio. Back on your screens now, you see the presidential convoy exiting the voting center where he just cast his ballot. But I mean, a number of things to talk about. First of all, we're touching on the fact that the crowds around not just the president but the presidential candidates isn't healthy, isn't advisable. In as much as we've been preaching social distancing, etc., this doesn't look healthy at all.
Not good at
Is
all.
it something you can avoid, however, and that's the
Yeah,
problem.
it can be avoided,
It could have been
especially for the
avoided.
president, because he has military men around him, and so or guards around him, so they can say that apart
Within
from
a
maybe his
certain
wife,
perimeter, you
no,
can't.
no more than 2 people should be with him, so he can go through the process. Even at the point of taking his paper, people were all around him. Which is not
Well,
really
but
nice.
I think that it also comes with a security arrangement. You know, there are always plainclothes security people with the president, aside those we see in uniforms and his official ADC, who's now a brigadier, who
I
follows
bet
him.
that those people are
But then again, but I'm just saying, and I'm thinking what's running through the president's mind at this point, knowing that he signed the EI-64 that imposed some of these things on us. I'm wondering what's running through his mind at this point, where it does appear, and counsel is here, it does appear that he himself seems to be complicit in breaking the law that he signed on to, that we should all abide by. And I must say, without mincing words, that all the presidential candidates, the parliamentary candidates, have flouted the law with careless abandon, and nothing has happened to any one of them. I mean,
some of the shots we had even had candidates not even wearing masks.
Exactly.
But then you go on to advise others to wear it. Very unhealthy.
I mean, it's been like this for some time now. Monitoring the space, you could see that. I mean, even though they call them mini rallies, you still have over 100 people, there over 200 people there. They're all crammed up, no masks. And it's just unbelievable.
If even they were together and were quiet,
of course, they're screaming on the top of their voice.
But that's why I'm saying I'm not sure that, you know, the little security that we see with the president can handle the crowd. Because whether you like it or not, there'll be someone who'd want to get closer. What are you going to do? Now, the president also needs their votes. At this time,
So you don't want to see him shunning anybody.
Exactly, because if the security details sort of make someone feel uncomfortable, they probably will vote against.
Politicians are like chiefs. They adore their appellations. So when they see people, I mean, we had people shouting Mahama Fa, we had where, you know, Nana Twasu, 4 more. They like it. They enjoy it. And, you know, this is a very crucial point in their political career where they don't want to appear to be, you know, warding off people. And being rude
they
to
campaign
people.
all this while, and
Exactly.
today being the D-Day, you're now shunning people.
And they're close to the ballot sheet.
Oh,
so you don't want to risk it.
A change of mind.
At this point, they could go
It's a very
against you.
slippery ground to walk, isn't it? All right, so this is our continuous coverage of election here in Ghana, Decision 2020, and we as your Election Command Center promised you comprehensive coverage. We are also keeping a tab on all the other candidates, 12 of them on the ballot sheet. When they do turn out to vote, certainly do trust us to bring you those live pictures on all our networks here in Accra and around the world. All right, so gentlemen and lady, I think that Bella and lady, so I think Bella and I will knock off, but then we're handing over the baton to Johnny Hughes and Abena Tebi, who are going to be running the next lap. And so while you watch them, you can also monitor on Facebook if you are now out of the house to go and vote. Monitor the discussion, be part of it. Let us hear what your thoughts are. We'll be happy to share and retweet and share our thoughts as well with you. And later when polls close, we'll have the entire team back again to help you make sense of everything that has gone on across the country. So over to you, Johnny and Abena.
Thank you very much.
Social pulse, we still have eyes and ears on everything that is happening online. The Election Command Center is absolutely buzzing. Things are also buzzing offline, but online we're going